Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 10th chapter, continuing. We're seeing Krishna entering Dwarka. Sutta paused in his narration to take a sip of water. Shaunaka sat in a silent thought for some moments.
Could you share the screen, please?
Oh, it's not seen? Oh,
No,
sorry.
no.
Okay, thank you. Can you see now?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Sutta paused in his narration to take a sip of water. Shaunaka sat in silent thought for some moments. Hearing how Krishna was happy that the wrongdoers had been slain, he again wondered about the Lord's neutrality and asked Sutta to explain it further. Sutta said, Krishna is equally disposed to all. He merely reciprocates with our desires. Those who wish to aggressively expand their material power and influence are brought together by the Lord's arrangement. They thus fight and destroy one another. Krishna takes no part in such conflicts. He is like the wind which causes friction between bamboo stalks and so sparks a fire. Is this because Krishna has no material desires? Asked Shaunaka. Exactly, replied Sutta. How is it then he enjoys with his wives? He seemed to be affected by lust just like an ordinary man. Could any normal person expand himself into more than 16,000 forms, each acting differently with each of his wives? Krishna was merely reciprocating with their desires to have him as their husband. Although they were the most beautiful women in the creation, and although they tried to allure him with furtive glances, coy smiles, and feminine gestures, which could overcome even Shiva himself, the Lord was never agitated. Indeed, Cupid threw down his flower bow in frustration, unable to even slightly disturb the Lord's mind with his arrows of passion. That's very interesting, no? How fortunate were those ladies to have such intimate association with Krishna, said Shaunaka. Can anyone become his wife? Yes, but it requires complete surrender to the Lord. As the women of Hastinapur said, his wives must have performed devotional service over so many lifetimes. They were imbued with prema, which alone can attract Krishna. Why is it that the Lord's loving exchanges with his wife so much resemble worldly dealings? Asked Shaunaka, knowing that many would find this difficult to comprehend. Only fools think this way, my friend, said Sutta, because they compare the Lord to themselves. They cannot understand that he is never affected by lust. Consider this for a moment. Whoever takes shelter of the Lord becomes completely detached from worldly enjoyment. How then can material pleasures attract the Lord? Shaunaka asked about Krishna's wives. From what you say, it seems they were mistaken in thinking Krishna was attached to them, since they are pure devotees. How can they be in such ignorance? This is a different kind of ignorance, said Sutta with a laugh. Just as the atheists cannot understand the Lord, so too are his pure devotees bewildered. Their confusion, however, is induced by the Lord's spiritual potency to facilitate loving exchanges with him. It is entirely different from the ignorance of materialistic people, which is caused by lust. Though the Lord is never controlled by anyone, his wife's innocent belief that they controlled him with their love gave him immense pleasure. The sages sat spellbound. They had simply expected to hear about the reason for Parikshit's renunciation and his meeting with Shaunaka. To illustrate King Parikshit's high devotional status, Suta had begun by explaining how Krishna had saved him while still in his mother's womb. Due to devotional ecstasy, Suta had unexpectedly recounted Kunti's prayers, Bhishma's passing away, and Krishna's return to Dwarka. Mm. It's interesting. He says, due to devotional ecstasy, Suta had unexpectedly recounted. I wonder what unexpectedly means. Any thoughts on that? Hmm. Okay, let's move to the next chapter, chapter 12, Parikshit born. Somebody likes to volunteer reading it? Anybody likes to read it? Namuna, Rasastali, Kalpana.
Okay, I'll read. Parikshit born. Parikshit's vision whilst in his mother's womb. At his birth, astrologers describe his illustrious future. Eager to return to Parikshit's history, Shaunaka said, "Please tell us how Krishna protected the unborn Parikshit from the unstoppable Brahmastra. Why did that great monarch die in the prime of his life? Also, pray tell us his destination after death." Since Sukadev chose to speak the Srimad bhagavatam to him, we are interviewed to know more about him. To properly comprehend Parikshit's greatness, replied Sutta, one must understand the position of his grandfather, Yudhishthira. Although his opulence and power were so extensive that even the celestial envied him, Yudhishthira had no attachment to worldly enjoyment. Like his father Pandu, his mind was always fixed on Krishna's service, and he wielded his imperial power without personal ambition. Due to his great love for Krishna, he was blessed with a most exalted grandson Parikshit. Sutta picked up Parikshit's story from the moment when Ashwathama's Brahmastra scorched him while he was still in his mother's womb. As the unborn child was being scorched by the searing heat of the Brahmastra, he saw a small form coming to his aid. His rescuer had four powerful arms, a beautiful blackish complexion, and his eyes were blood red with fury. Dressed in yellow garments adorned with a brilliant golden helmet and earrings, he encircled the embryo like a shooting star. Constantly whirling his club, he neutralized the Brahmastra's radiation. When the weapon's glare had subsided, he stopped moving. The baby could now more clearly see the charming features of his benefactor, who smiled briefly at him and disappeared. From the moment on, he constantly wondered about the identity of the mysterious hero who had saved him from a certain death. When the child was born, his grandfathers rejoiced. From the auspicious placement of the planets, they could tell the boy would be a powerful ruler, just like the great King Pandu. Yudhishthir arranged festivities to celebrate the birth of his heir. He invited great sages and Brahmins to perform the birth rites and gave them abundant charity. Pleased by Yudhishthira's generosity, the Brahmins said, O best of men, though your dynasty was devastated by the influence of all-powerful time, the Supreme Lord has personally saved the boy. Because the Lord protected him, he will become famous as Vishnurata, most fortunate one. There is no doubt that this child will become a first-class devotee decorated with all good qualities. Yudhishthira anxiously inquired, will he be as powerful and virtuous as our famed ancestors? The chief priest, after examining the child's horoscope, said, this boy will resemble King Ishwaku in his ability to protect the citizens. He will be exactly like Lord Ram in taking guidance from the Brahmins and in truthfulness, comparable to the famous King Shibi in giving charity. He will protect whoever seeks his shelter and will expand your dynasty's influence, as did Bharat, the son of Dushyant. He will be a great archer like his grandfather Arjuna. Indeed, no one will be able to defeat him. His physical strength will be no less than a lion's, and in his ability to shelter others, he will be like the Himalayas. He will be forgiving like the earth itself, and as tolerant as a loving parent. Like you, Yudhishthira, he will be equal towards all. He will be as liberal as Shiva, and will resemble Narayana in his willingness to give protection to all supplicants, because he always worships Krishna. He will develop qualities almost on an equal level with the Lord. In generosity, he will be like the famous Ranti Deva, and in adherence to religious principles, he will be like King Yayati. This child will grow up to be a perseverant as Bali, mighty leader of the Asuras, and in his devotion to Krishna he will be equal the great Prahlad. Rest assured, he will perform many sacrifices and be guided by wise and respected elders. To maintain world peace and uphold religious principles, he will be bold in punishing unruly men. The Brahmin paused and looked away, hesitating to say more. Yudhishthira became worried. Please do not hide anything from me, he said. Will he face any difficulty? The elderly priest took a deep breath and answered, O king, a Brahmin will curse him to die by a snake by bird's bite. Yudhishthira and his four brothers looked shocked. How could such a noble king incur a Brahmin's curse? They looked quizzically at the priest, who explained, this Brahmin will be an immature child acting rashly. However, your grandson will take the curse as an opportunity to detach himself from the world and surrender to Krishna. Yudhishthira felt reassured. Anything that led to Krishna's service was always auspicious. Can you tell us more? He asked. The priest replied, at that time he will make spiritual inquiry from Sukadev Goswami. He asked Devs,
We can just pause for a moment.
yes,
This is very relevant for all of us. How interesting that everything, previous karma was revealed. And as we've just seen, this is happening as the Kurukshetra war has ended and so many family members are dead, and Yudhishthir Maharaj is concerned about the future of the empire. And then, they say, because also I'm an astrologer, I'm thinking in those terms of some karma doesn't leave us. They say that karma will find us just like the cow will find its calf. So certain malefic influences that some actions we did in our previous life, regardless of our current piety and purity and devotion and capacity, a certain karma will still be there. It will manifest, but we shouldn't get affected by that. We need to understand that that's just passing thing, but the permanent thing is the shelter of the Lord. And in this example, we can see that Yudhishthira immediately got pacified when the sage said he would take this curse as an opportunity to detach himself from the world and surrender to Krishna. So we all may be going through some challenges in our relationships, personal relationships. We may be feeling, that not fulfilled in a relationship, not protected. We may be feeling like unworthy of being loved and taken care of, or we may be feeling unworthy in our career life and struggling to develop skill or get a job, or we may be feeling unworthy because maybe we have some health difficulties and our body is weak and we are feeling stuck that we cannot perform things the way we want to. Regardless of the challenge, what is interesting is to see this as a prarabdha, some previous life karma manifesting, and just patient. This will also pass. This will go away. It's not a permanent, let's say, it doesn't become us. It's just something happening for us. It's not something happening to us. Parikshit didn't take it as, oh my God, it's happening to me. Yudhishthira didn't think, oh, it's going to happen to Parikshit. No, it's going to happen for him, for his benefit, for him to be able to detach. So we can also detach from this when we don't have a fulfilling experience in a relationship, for instance. We can say, this is a mercy of the Lord. Let me take advantage and detach. We don't have to keep running around in circles trying to find fulfillment in places that are not appropriate, or from people that are not adequately qualified to please us or take care of us. So I have been meditating on this point, that sometimes we need to learn that this is meant for my detachment. Maybe this person I'm relying on completely is not reliable in that way. So just move on. It's not about the extremes again, it's more about patience. And say, okay, this is going to happen. Okay, my karma with something is tough, like Parikshit's karma was tough in terms of his longevity, in terms of his curse by Brahman. Boy, to be dead, it's like a weird thing, but that's his karma, something is going to come upon. So for a devotee, there's nothing like karma. There's only Krishna. So that's the perspective. If we shift our perspective from, oh, this is my karma, oh, Krishna is giving me this opportunity. Let me see. So these examples we're reading for the past few days of Kunti, the trauma that the whole Pandavas have been through, and yet they are doing their duty, yet they are going towards Krishna. That is success. Not having traumas and healing from our traumas is not the goal of life. To think of Krishna, to take shelter of Krishna, cry in front of him is the real progress. Because we may run from therapists to therapists, we may run from different shelters to shelter, trying to find that fulfillment, but we will never find, because this is the black hole of this material world. And the only light can cure it, and the only light is bhagavatam, is Krishna, it's the holy name. So the more powerless we feel in this world because of our circumstances, the better it is for us. The more we feel confident, oh, the insurance will protect me, the doctor will protect me, my marriage will protect me, my whatever will protect me. And that only keeps us more and more in bondage. So let's learn from Parikshit and Kunti Devi and Pandavas to embrace and accept our fate, our destinies with this material body, with this material relationships, and go beyond it. That's not what defines us. What defines us is we are servants of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Radasamui, Chaitanya Radas. Chaitanya Radasamui, Dasiradas. I'm the servant, eternal servant of Lord Chaitanya. That's our identity. No devotees were spared from storms and difficulties in life. Krishna doesn't promise us freedom from no storm, no rain. No, he tells us there will be storm and rain, but there's gonna be Govardhan hill. Come and take shelter. So let us take shelter, just as Parikshit did. Thank you so much, Rasastali. Do we have somebody else to read for a few more minutes?
Sure, I can read.
Mhm. Okay, from here, the priest replied, you can start.
Right. The priest replied, at that time he will make spiritual inquiry from Shukadev Goswami, Vyasadev's exalted son. He will thus become purified of all material attachment and attain complete fearlessness. Yudhishthir and his brother gazed down affectionately at the sleeping baby. This child was surely blessed. Glad at heart, they distributed copious gifts to the Brahmins. The young prince flourished under the loving care of his 5 grandfathers. Whenever he would see someone for the first time, he would intently examine his face, wondering if that individual might be that same person who had rescued him while in his mother's womb. Verses 32 to 36.
I can pause for a second. I just want to say something about this. This, yesterday we were reading that analogy. I mean, we were talking about that analogy of Krishna walking in the midst of the people, and all the devotees were fixed totally on him, and they were like waiting to see if Krishna's glance will fall upon them. And then we had Taruni Radha say, I want every task, everything I'm doing today to look at Krishna and, be offered to Krishna in that way. So this reading, the last paragraph here, the beautiful paragraph, it shows like how Parikshit was examining everybody and trying to see Krishna. Similarly, we can see every circumstance, we can try to find Krishna. Oh, I'm in pain. Okay, what is Krishna's plan for me here? Oh, I'm feeling grateful. Oh, Krishna, no. Just as Parikshit is looking for Krishna among people, we can look Krishna among our circumstance. And another point I wanted to make is also remember Abhimanyu, right? Even Abhimanyu's death, Krishna knew. I mean, he was a 16-year-old boy, and Krishna knew that Abhimanyu is going to be killed as well. And it was a similar circumstance where they were not focused so much on the event, but they were focused more on the dharma aspect. So dharma is very important. Performing our duty and not to be attached to the results is very important in all our endeavors, all our relationships, all our actions and duties. And that's what we are seeing here. The Pandavas were very dutiful. Okay, please continue, Yamuna.
Shaunaka asked how Yudhishthir had funded his sacrifices so soon after a war which had exhausted his treasury. Sudha explained that Krishna had told him where the ancient king Maruta had left vast gold reserves in the Himalayas. With Krishna's encouragement, Yudhishthir's brothers journeyed to the north and collected that hidden treasure, which was more than sufficient to finance 3 sacrifices. Sutta said the Pandavas were so dear to Krishna that he returned to Hastinapur to personally oversee the sacrifices, making sure that all the priests were properly qualified. He again remained for a few months with his aunt and cousins before returning to Dwarka. accompanied by the Yadus and his intimate friend Arjuna. Yudhishthir became the emperor after so much difficulty, and on Krishna's behest, said Shaunaka. Why and when did he retire, allowing Parikshit to take his place? Sutta thanked Shaunaka for his question. You are giving me more and more opportunities to speak about Krishna's pure devotees. This is even more powerful than speaking about the Lord himself. Sutta began to describe the incidents leading up to the Pandavas retiring, beginning with the return to Hastinapur of the Pandavas' uncle, Vidur.
Mm. Any comments, questions? We can pause here for today, and tomorrow we will continue chapter 13. And now we can do our short meditation and affirmation based on Parikshit's birth. Parikshit Maharaj is one of the great examples for our devotional life. Just as Parikshit was traumatized right at his birth with this Brahmastra weapon attacking him. Sometimes birth of certain ideas, birth of certain relationships, birth of certain sense of self-worth and identity that we are experiencing maybe is faced with some obstacles. And in those circumstances, visible or not visible, there's always Krishna's hand. Traumas in life should not stop us from living the best life possible, but rather these traumas should transform us into surrendered souls that are looking for the Lord's hand in our circumstances. So today, let us offer ourselves at the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Madhava. Let us offer ourselves to Sri Panchatattva with a heart filled with desire to be of service, offering ourselves the good and the bad, praying, may the Lord remove every single character defect that is getting in the way of our service to the Lord. Let us pray for the best things, for the best opportunities, for the best relationships, the best ways that Krishna thinks is good for us. May we give up our self-will of thinking how we should control our lives and what we need in order to be happy. May we stop looking for happiness in this world. May we focus, let us focus on the dharma, on the duty aspects of our life. Let us keep the Lord in the center and take every opportunity, every difficulty, every trauma, every unfair, unjust situation that is happening for us and see it from that perspective that the Lord has given us this opportunity to detach from these mundane affairs. Traditionally, people would focus on mukti, how to get liberated from the bonds of material world. In today's day and age, we are looking for fulfillment, happiness, for our own comforts, which is never going to happen in this world because we have so much baggage of karma, influences of other people's minds. We have the three modes of material nature. All these things are not designed for our enjoyment. This world is dukkhalayam shashvatam. This world is full of miseries and it's temporary, thank God. And our eternal sense of identity is as servants of Lord Chaitanya, servants of Sri Radha and Krishna. Everything else is only just a relief, is only just a substitute to heal that emptiness that is caused because of our separation from the Lord. So instead of running after fixing the black holes, let us go towards light of Srimad Bhagavatam. the light of Sri Krishna's holy name, let us affirm for the Lord's mercy to flow through us and become ready for the expansive empowerment that the Lord has in store for us. So have a fantastic morning or evening, my dear friends. And thank you very much for joining me in this Bhagavatam reading. Now we will do affirmations. Each of you can unmute your microphone and get blessings of what affirmations you would like to take home with you today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
I would like to say the common behavior or the tendency of feeling sorrow or remorse for any material loss, the belief that detachment from material attraction is due to the mercy of the Lord, is because one is being free from all the contaminations of self-identification, whereas all whose consciousness is polluted and one who identifies with body grieves after his material loss and takes all material achievements as his own efforts. Therefore, I can realize that as long as there is attachment for material attraction and grief over material loss, that means I'm in contamination of false ego. So, as you said, like we have to keep Krishna in the center and ask for his mercy always. That's what this is the explanation.
Beautiful.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yes, yes. We live one day at a time. We offer one day at least. Today, Krishna, I'm yours. You please lead my life. That's my affirmation. For today, Krishna, please take over because I can't trust for the rest of my life. But for today, I'm yours. Take over my life. Take over my decisions. Empower me to do your will and save me from my mind. Thank you. Vilas Manjari, Muna, would you like to go next?
So, I think for me, I would like to take on the day and get into it and change the perspective from feeling like a victim by me and start looking at the situations and myself as it's just Krishna sending his mercy in probably a way I don't appreciate right now, but it's what I need. So just changing the perspective from why me, but just saying a thank you and asking for the courage and strength to be able to see his hand in the plans. And just know that it's definitely a better plan than whatever I've planned for myself.
Very wise, very wise, very well. Thank you, Yamuna, for joining us and beautiful affirmation. May the Lord bless us all to accept everything as His mercy, changing the perspective, as you said rightly. Thank you. Vilas Manjari.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the Bhagavatam properly today, but I'll just continue to live in my yesterday's affirmation of remaining attracted to Krishna, like how Dwarkavasis was effortlessly attracted to him as he entered the Dwarka. So I continue to work on increasing my attraction towards him through hearing Bhagavatam and reading scriptures and understanding his heart. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Jai. Yeah, such nice meditations to carry with us. So have a great rest 24 hours and see you tomorrow, continuing our 12th chapter, where we are going to study Vidura talking to Dhritarashtra. It's a very, very interesting chapter. So live Today, with the mood of Parikshit, acceptance and the perspective change to see how Krishna is doing all these things are happening for me. It's not happening to me. Yeah, as Yamuna said, from the victim mentality to a grateful devotee mentality. Easier said than done, but we are not alone. Krishna is with us. We have the support of devotees. You can always outreach on the outreach group if you need some support. And take care and have peace and love. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.